Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's topic, figureheads of authority on Star Wars. Now, this is a subject I've mentioned in small doses in other videos on my channel in the past, but today I wanted to take a deeper dive into what this topic is actually about, what it means and what it represents, and my own personal thoughts on the subject. Ever since the outrage and backlash for the sequels began, people have been scrambling to hoist up figureheads of authority in regards to Star Wars, to use as a voice for their dislike of the new movies. These people are typically someone who's worked on Star Wars in the past, therefore, they should know what's best for Star Wars, right? Never mind that Kathleen Kennedy is outright ignored for this argument given her decorated history, but I've never known sequel fans to require another person's opinion to validate their own on what they like or don't like about Star Wars. And let's not make any mistake or have any confusion on this subject. That is the entire point of this tactic. The use of an authority figure is the mindset of someone who cannot or will not articulate their own thoughts or feelings on a subject so that they can rely on someone else to do that for them. And it's an interesting trap because to those who use this, they believe this makes for the ultimate defense. You would not be able to argue your points without contradicting those they hail as an authority on the subject. Therefore, instantaneously, you expose you know nothing about Star Wars to these people. It is, in no exaggeration, the attempt to remove any form of debate or conversation on what is supposed to be a subjective topic. So whenever someone says you're in an echo chamber because you enjoy some movies while they use this tactic, feel free to drop a cool story, bro. Personally, in my own opinion, surprisingly, I am in favor of people using this tactic, provided certain conditions are met. If people wish to use this tactic as proof their side is right, their side is justified, I say go for it. On the condition you void your ability to disagree with anything they have to say in regards to Star Wars. Because you cannot get both ways. You cannot simultaneously hail what they said, no one can question this, and phooey to when they say something that you disagree with in regards to Star Wars. They are either the authority on the subject or they are not. So if you hail someone up as an authority, but they also say something you disagree with or do something you disagree with in regards to Star Wars, you are left with one of two options. You can either disagree with them, thereby invalidating everything you tried to do and the very point you were trying to make, or you have to show some amount of integrity and stand by what they said in agreement, even if you would have disagreed with them otherwise. For example, if your figurehead said something that slandered something you enjoyed, or think that they have a wrong interpretation of, you would have no place in trying to contradict them on their behalf. You would be stuck saying, well, I would have disagreed with them on that because I particularly like this thing they don't like, but they are the authority on the subject and I'm not, so what would I know? With no excuses like, well, they're just a sellout or a Disney shill. You don't get to use that anymore. Another reason why I'm in favor of allowing those, particularly of the fandom menace, to use this is just from watching their past attempts and how well that's gone for them. They tried with George Lucas, but that didn't work out so well when he shakes hands with Bob Iger and promotes Disney Star Wars, so they moved on to Mark Hamill. But that didn't work out so well when he defends the actors that are being harassed for representing what these people think are destroying Star Wars and contradicts the narrative. He despises sequels with his own words. Now they've moved on to Marcia Lucas, and look how quickly that story died when she showed disfavor for the prequels as well as the sequels. So let me just be frank. If you follow this trend and take note of the qualifications of each person in regards to Star Wars, if the best person they had next on their list was someone who only worked on the original trilogy, someone who is entirely biased towards only what they've worked on, and has basically been out of the public eye for years, they've scraped the bottom of the barrel. But why do they do this tactic over and over when it almost always falls flat on its face? Another reason is it's meant to be an influencing tactic that pander channels push a narrative out so loud and so fast and quickly move on to the next given subject to warp your mind and opinion around this false or selectively edited narrative before you've been given the full story. That's why, despite Marcia admitting dislike for both the sequels and the prequels, only one side of her opinion is hoisted up and not the other. Do you know what a title they could have gone with that would have shown no underhandedness or show any bias for? Marcia Lucas gives her opinion about Star Wars, except we all know that wouldn't sell as well as these inflated and one-sided versions that people promote, which brings us back around to the warping of your opinion that gets you believing in this one-sided narrative before you know all the facts. And the damage this causes lasts years. An example of this would be the lie about Kathleen Kennedy and the Force is female controversy that even has people today still confused and pointing to her and using this as proof that Kathleen Kennedy hates men, when in reality the Force is female shirt had nothing to do with Star Wars. It was a part of a Nike campaign for the celebration of the Air Force One shoe line, and that they and a couple of other companies were celebrating women who came to the top of their professions. That's it. Not as nefarious as what this was made out to be, is it? And I think the fact that there are still people confused by this shows that these pander channels don't do their work to correct the false information they spread around, and given that these people pride themselves as news sources, that should be very telling as to their motives and agenda. It's not about truth or fact, it's about keeping you mad because that means you'll keep buying their garbage. I have no illusions that people will continue to scramble to find the next figurehead of authority until they find someone that perfectly represents their thoughts and opinions that simultaneously has nothing bad to say in regards to what they claim to enjoy about Star Wars. However, at this point, that person will most likely be fairly low on the totem pole. But don't make any mistake, this is not respectful towards those who are made figureheads. None of this is a true reverence to their knowledge or contributions to Star Wars. And it's as plain to see when how quickly they're cast aside as soon as they say or do anything that contradicts these people's points. I personally cannot think of anything more disrespectful than to basically tell someone that they're only as important and valuable to them and their cause as long as they agree with what they say and want, word for word, point for point. Which is why I am either in favor of the complete disuse of this tactic entirely, or ask that these people show some amount of integrity and stand by these people even if they would have disagreed with them. As I said before, you cannot have both ways. You cannot use these people as an authority while simultaneously selectively choosing what gets hailed and what gets conveniently ignored. They are either the authority or they are not. You have to choose one or the other, but choose wisely, as what each decision says about you and your argument will be taken note of by those paying attention. Anyway guys, that's just my 2 cents on the subject. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, I'd appreciate a like. If you didn't like it, I'd appreciate a dislike. If you want to see more, please give me a subscribe. And if you aren't going to subscribe, maybe just leave a comment. Anyway, with all that being said, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. See ya. Bye.
He chose poorly.